Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Thoughts from a TV Geek. My name's Sean Scott.
And I'm Kelly Neal, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite TV shows.
So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
So tonight we have just a few bullet points that I wanted to bring out. The first is X-Men had a really long run with the same actors, and it looks like they're looking at doing a reboot.
Yeah, I heard something about that, yeah.
Writer Simon Kinberg is already working on a new script that will reconfigure the series.
Let me just jump on that for a second. I was reading something early today about Deadpool might be doing a X Factor. And surprisingly, because the image that they showed had Wolverine in one corner, and a couple of other characters on the other side. So there might be kind of maybe it's not going to be the X-Men, maybe it'll be more X-Force.
Maybe.
And they kind of branch off in that way where they're still using some of the same characters, but that's how they can get away with switching in new people.
I thought the reboot was when they went back to earlier days, you know what I mean, to the start of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And so I can't believe they're not following it through with them.
Well, you know, they're constantly swapping in and out people as far as characters, then, you know, why not just start all over again, because it doesn't really matter. I mean, we've had, we're on the second or third Superman, we're on a second Batman. Actually, this is more like the fifth or sixth
We've had a
Batman
lot of Batmans.
in the last 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. The next one is Stranger Things, Season 2. It officially started filming a couple of days ago, and they say that the main plot is going to feature around the core cast, and it's about them trying to get back to some normalcy in their lives, but obviously failing because it's a TV show and it wouldn't be any good if they didn't.
Now, is 11 going to be in it?
Yes.
All right, because I've been slowly watching episodes, and I haven't caught up to that yet. So I haven't caught up to the end of the season, so I don't know if...
I haven't read any spoilers of how she's going to be back, but she is going to be in it. So.
You haven't read any spoilers of how she's going to come back?
No.
Okay, so apparently she's gone somehow. And I just haven't got caught up to it yet.
She will be back.
Okay.
Okay, next, Doctor Strange beat out Trolls, Hacksaw Ridge, and every other movie this weekend, and became the 14th consecutive Marvel Universe film to debut at #1 in the box office.
14th consecutive?
Consecutive.
Now, I'd really like to know how, because I haven't seen the numbers, but I'd like to know how DC has done as far as their numbers.
I know.
To date.
Marvel released the new estimated to bring 85 million just in the weekend, and globally earning 325 million. It puts it ahead of Thor: The Dark World, Ant-Man, and Captain America. Captain America: The First Avenger. Mm-hmm. But behind Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Just
real briefly, what was your take on Ant-Man? Have you seen it?
I saw it. It was good.
Yeah?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was ultra fantastic. It wasn't something I went telling everybody, oh, you've got to see this movie.
Right.
But for what it was, I thought it was good.
I think on a late night, Friday, Saturday night, if it's just on, maybe. But I wasn't like...
Yeah.
Didn't hold me.
It wasn't something you got all gung-ho over.
I'm not looking forward to Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
So, unlike the other ones. I mean, other than the fact that maybe they put him in because kind of back in the day he was kind of a big character.
Sure, sure.
And, you know, with the Infinity Wars and whatnot, there might be some kind of crossover in there, but...
Now, I will say my nephews loved it. Of course, they're, 10 and 8, so...
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's got bugs. It's about bugs. It's about a guy as an ant.
As an ant. There you go.
Fair enough.
And that is our bullet points. Next up, we're going to talk about a show that I'm really enjoying called Westworld.
So there's some Emmy buzz going around on Westworld with Evan Rachel Wood. She plays Dolores. Now, she's a great character. Her role in it, trying to play a robot and then kind of switch at different points to become human-like, if you will, and then down in the sub-levels of Westworld, where they're doing testing and looking into memory banks and whatnot. Her facial expressions jumping from one to another are fantastic, and I think she deserves at least a nod for it. I don't know if she's going to win, but that's what I understand is she's looking at best actress in a
Definitely deserves
drama.
one. Definitely deserves one. I really like her character, and she was like the first one too from the get-go. Pilot episode we saw her over and over, and she's had this range of things happening throughout just the last 6 episodes.
Yeah, she's
really
going through a lot of transition, as well as a couple of the other robotic cast members. Maeve, for instance,
Love Maeve.
played by
Tandy Newton.
Tandy Newton. Maeve's character is great. She's the mum, if you will. I can't. The mum of the best little whorehouse in Westworld,
That's right.
if you will. And she's the brothel runner. Her character is coming into her own. She's been having these dreams and memories, and
Yes.
kind of what I thought, and we may have touched on it before, where it seems like she's having memories of past life, as a past life in the show.
Exactly.
Well, in Westworld, where she was had another narrative, and it's changed over time, but she's starting to remember some of that, as it seems Dolores is, and a number of others as well.
Well, we found out this past episode she's only been head of the brothel for a little over a year.
Yes,
for
and
her, it seems so
and
much longer.
Right, and she mentions that she's been there for 10 years as part of her narrative, that she knows all these things, and there's 2 workers down in the sub-levels saying, no, you're a robot. And they bring her upstairs, and she starts to see different things that are going on, and the realization that what she has as memories, or what she thought were memories, are just a computer program.
Exactly.
She goes back downstairs. Let's play with these. Prove it. She wants some proof.
Sure.
And they start monkeying around with different levels, and she goes, let me check it out and make me a little bit more smarter there, and give me some more some better attributes. So if the hosts are now getting into this whole, well, if this is what I am, let's make me better. It should bring up some interesting theories on what's going to happen and what has happened in the past.
Well, think about it. You're your own video character where you can sit there and just do what you want with yourself and go, I want that, I want that, I want that. I mean, who wouldn't like to experiment with that just once?
So you become your own avatar.
Yeah.
Or you can control your own avatar in a fictitious world
Exactly.
filled with real people coming in to interact with that avatar of somebody else.
And is she considered to becoming sentient? Because now she is fully aware of literally who she is. She knows who she is now.
And Dolores has picked up on a couple of things.
Yes.
From Lee. I think the character's name is Lee. Mentioning to William at a number of points that, like, look, you can do whatever you want. These are robots.
Yeah.
And Dolores is starting to go, well, what?
She's actually starting to understand what they're saying, when normally it would be like gibberish to them. They wouldn't fully understand anyway.
Right.
It wouldn't make sense to them.
And as some of the other characters, like Bernard, has the ability to stop what they're doing, have a separate narrative, then kind of come back and re-pick up a conversation that they're having, but also change the narrative at the same time.
Yeah.
Could they start changing their own narratives?
That's what we're probably going to be looking at. I think Dolores has already started that. I mean, she's off on this path. Now she's with a customer. So technically, yes, you would have to, I would assume, go with the customer and follow that story. But she didn't need to stay with them. She could have gone back to sleep, woke up the next day in the house and start that whole thing over again.
Right.
And she's actually going with him of her own volition, which is something new.
But
Which I think doesn't Ford say that, or Bernard says that? Somebody actually mentions that she's actually going of her own accord.
Going off narrative. Yeah.
Now, at one point.
Now, so I hear there's some interesting theories going around.
Lots.
Can you shed some light on that?
There are. One of them is, speaking of Dolores, the voice that she's hearing, I think a lot of people are figuring that is this Arnold, who was the original creator and who supposedly has been dead for over 30 years. And then some people are speculating. In the last episode, episode 6, we saw Ford's family in the old-time robots, the actual mechanical robots, which was a nice throwback to 1973 movie, because that's how they were. The face opened up like that.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who was his father, people remembered from a picture that he showed Bernard. He showed Bernard a picture of him and Arnold. It was the guy who was his father, robot.
Right.
So people are speculating that Arnold was actually his father.
Is Ford's father.
Ford's father.
Which is played by Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, played brilliantly by
Great actor.
Yes.
I love his tenor, his tone. He slows the conversation down, and you get encapsulated in what he's saying, because there's a lot of close-up shots of him.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of nice close-ups while he's talking, and he speaks so eloquently. What I'm not doing right now.
Yes.
Eloquently. And with this tenor and vibrato to it that just holds you into the scene.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And that character is so layered, and you want to know, he's not just this, old guy scientist, you know what I mean? There's just so much more layered there.
There's a very interesting backstory.
Yeah.
With him that I'm hoping I assume will come out next season. Am I correct in thinking that there's some correlation with Bernard in the photograph?
Some people think that they're speculating that Bernard is actually a host and is Arnold, that Arnold was able to put his consciousness into Bernard. So that's what some people are speculating with. Because when he was shown the photo, we've already seen that when hosts see a modern day photo, they just don't understand it. So when he saw the photo, it would be easy to imprint in his brain the visual of Ford's father instead of himself, or however the case may be. Other people are saying that that may be Ford's father, and he was supposed to be next to him. And there's a space. If you look at the picture, it's Ford, his father, and there's an empty space. And they're thinking that he just took himself out of there, because visually he wouldn't be in that picture. So, if that really was a picture of Ford, his father, and Arnold.
That's very interesting.
All speculation, but when you can watch these things over and over again, especially, people see these little things. Like, I hadn't even remembered the picture until I read about it, and I went, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And then looked at it and went, wow, it really is. Who knows?
I watched it. I'm gonna go back and watch it again, because I didn't pick up on that, and I'm pretty perceptive on stuff like that. So I'm surprised I hadn't. I'm gonna, because now I'm curious.
Exactly. No, go take a look and you see. I mean, who knows? But it's interesting stuff that people are seeing and noticing. And this is the type of show that has all that stuff in it.
Right.
Kind of like, I didn't watch Lost, but I know a lot of people that did, and it had that kind of thing where people would pick out this, that, and the other, thinking, did that.
Well, once you know that they're throwing out Easter eggs,
right,
then you're gonna intentionally look for them.
Exactly.
I mean, they're all over The Walking Dead, so that's kind of the big thing in the last 2 years, especially in movies. With like the Marvel movies, is there's always these little things leading into something else down the line, somewhere, somehow.
Exactly. And it's just a matter of, if you pick it up, great. If you don't, it's okay. You didn't miss anything. But if you pick it up,
right.
It just makes it more interesting. Yeah. People are also comparing the Delos to Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
And basically making Ford the devil and Arnold God.
Interesting.
Yeah. I found that kind of interesting. I didn't delve too deep in that.
Ford is the devil, huh?
Ford is the devil, and
That's
Arnold is God.
interesting.
Arnold's trying to stop Ford from what he's doing. There's also a throwback, possibly a purposeful throwback to the movie in 1973. Because of Level C When Bernard went down to the basement, if you looked, you could see the other different levels, and there is a sub-level C. And that was the original basement from the original movie, I guess. I don't quite remember. I haven't seen the original movie in forever.
Not since I was a kid, yeah.
But supposedly, yes, there is an original level C. So they're wondering if that also brings to another theory of a two-timeline theory. So was that actually the original timeline?
Well, that would make sense, yeah.
And that's William and Logan. William and Logan are the characters that were from the movie.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So is that their timeline? Are they, 30 years ago? And then the other timeline they're saying would be the Men in Black's timeline. And then they're wondering if you put that kind of together with the way the two different storylines are going, is it feasible that William actually is the Men in Black? He becomes the Men in Black. So that's what people are speculating on.
Wow, after what, 6 episodes?
6 episodes, and we have all this type of stuff, right?
Usually that stuff doesn't come in until like the second, third season, but right out the gate, man.
Right away.
I did find it kind of odd when Bernard went down to, was it 28B?
Something like that, yes.
And he gets off and, he gets there, I think the water came in, and he's looking around, the lights are blinking.
It's supposed to be like cold storage is what I read, but not that I got from watching it.
Right, yeah, because the place looked trashed.
Yeah, it did. It looked like just old abandoned offices in the basement.
And, the lights are flickering and sparking, and stuff's just hanging around, but yet the computer works just absolutely fine, like it hadn't been touched in 40 years, and it just turns on.
I know.
Very interesting.
One of the other things too, and if you don't like the speculation stuff, we're going to be talking about what could possibly be happening. Future World. Most people don't remember Future World. It was the 1976 sequel to Westworld.
Okay.
In that, you find out that the Delos is actually cloning, and the hosts basically start making other hosts, and what happens is people go to the park, and they get, from you being in the park, they get your DNA.
Right.
They clone you, and they put the host you out into the world. So gradually taking over the world, it's all just hosts.
Well, kind of speaking of theories, that I've seen a couple myself about The Walking Dead.
Yes.
So, and this is kind of going back, this is speculation. Actually, Mr. Walker, Mr. White in Breaking Bad.
Yes.
What's his name?
Yes. I don't remember his name, but I know who you mean.
Right. So, he's recently come out and kind of further pushing the theory that it's the Breaking Bad started as the whole beginning of The Walking Dead with the blue heroin.
Yes.
Where in the first season of The Walking Dead, not Daryl,
his brother.
We're winging it. So Daryl's brother gets hurt. He pulls out a bag, and there's the blue meth on the bottom of it. So there's speculation out there that Walter White's heroin is the stuff that ultimately creates The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
Which is a very interesting theory.
It is.
They were both on AMC. I'm sure there's some people that worked on that show that are now on this show. Was it coincidence? Was it like a homage to Breaking Bad? The fact that Daryl mentions that he got some drugs at one point from a guy who would say give me my money, bitch, and said
the same line.
Said it in the same said the same line. So it's interesting. I kind of like that theory. I kind of wish it was true, but I know they said they weren't gonna ever say what actually caused it.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
It's a pretty good theory.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory.
Anyway.
It's a fun theory. It's a fun theory.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, folks, sometimes it feels so sweet. You don't even
It does. Unless you're Daryl.
unless you're dead. You know, I've heard that song a couple of times now. I actually kind of like it, but I'm sure everybody and anybody who's watched the show is probably all looking it up. Is probably already found a way to download it,
I
some
don't
form,
know.
some way.
It's on YouTube.
And it's catchy, annoyingly so, I think.
It's on YouTube. It's the Collapsible Hearts Club.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Very interesting song. But not for Daryl. Our good friend Daryl has been
No.
tormented
Yes.
over and over and over again with that loving, sweet song.
It would drive me insane.
I think it would drive anybody insane.
Yes.
Probably why they chose it. Yeah, probably.
The Making a Sandwich theme was the Jams, A Town Called Malice. So we got several music items in this episode.
You know, I gotta say, who's ever thinking up these little gems to put into the show, it is fantastic. Now, if you have the right music with the right piece of film, it can change it one way or another. I mean, that could have been
Oh, absolutely.
horribly like deep and dark and brooding as he's making the sandwich, but you know, playing like a Friday 13th type of a vibe song. But no, they play something nice, and it's
Sure.
I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the context that it was going to be in, so it seemed like,
Not at all.
oh, well, great.
What-
We're in this. We're snapping. We're making a sandwich. It's going to be great.
And we start with who's the boss? Tony Danza, right?
Now, how tormenting is it? All right. So you're in an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
And the only thing you get to watch is VHS tapes of Who's the Boss.
Who's the boss? Yes. They did show VHS tapes stacked up, but I couldn't see what the other ones were. But yeah, that's all you got. Who's the boss?
I mean,
And to them, it's probably a treasure. And it's also look what we used to have way back when,
boy,
a few
we had
years
it
ago.
we had it so good, Now we're here living in a shelter with zombies surrounding the building.
Yeah, yeah. But that was a good episode.
That was a really good episode.
Just from the way it started out all the way through. Poor Daryl. But Daryl is Daryl. And my opinion is he's going to tough it out. He's going to make it through this.
He's going to play the game.
Yeah.
He being tested by not having the door locked.
Yep.
And coming out into the little causeway there or whatever, and getting caught, and Negan realizing that he's just not going to break, man.
He's a tough one.
But
he's actually lucky that Negan likes that because he'd already be dead.
Yeah.
He totally would already be dead. I think Negan is enjoying it's the thrill of trying to break him. You know what I mean? I think that's what he's enjoying. Apparently he went through similar with Dwight.
Yes.
And so this is what he does. Take the strongest of the bunch and break them. I mean, he broke Rick as far as we know. So, but this is, man, I would have broke. I wouldn't have lasted a day.
Well, here's the interesting thing is we don't really have a sense of time where he was. Mm-hmm. I mean, that could have been 20, 30 minutes. It could have been 2 days, 3 days. They don't really reference the time that much.
I think that's why they showed the meals, because that does kind of reference the time.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
So,
1 meal a day of bread. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Even if it's two, it's more than just a day.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, and a lot of symbolism. Dwight watching the walkers, and especially the one on the pole, like he's stuck. That walker's stuck on that pole, and Dwight is totally stuck in the situation.
Stuck in the same situation, yeah.
The
same situation, but same basic situation, where you have Negan taking his wife, Dwight's wife, as his wife. You know, you guys left. You guys took off. You snuck out of here. You decided that it wasn't maybe the best idea. You come back, and you know this is the price you're gonna
That's the
pay. I'm
price you
taking
pay.
your woman.
That's it. That's the
And
price you
and
pay.
he kills the sister, correct?
Correct. No, she died when they were out. She was the one that died.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, and then they decided to go back after that.
Right.
Yep.
You know how strange it must have been for Dwight to stand there and be demasculized. I'm missing the word for to be put down in front of Daryl as Negan's talking about. Well, you know, look, you know, you came back, you tried to apologize. Well, that's fine and great, but now I'm going to take your woman as a repentance for taking off.
Exactly. And do you believe that that was a test for Dwight when he offered a night with her? In the same way unlocking the door for Daryl was a test?
Yeah, because Negan probably sees the same thing that we're seeing, is that Dwight's still kind of, he's playing the game, but he's, you know, he wants out. I mean, you can see it in Daryl's face, Dwight's face. He wants to get out of there, and I think he thinks that Daryl might be his ticket.
Right.
It's kind of what I'm thinking, is
Right.
that Dwight sees Daryl as his way out of there. It's another strong person, or even the person to maybe take over Negan's spot at some point.
You think? I didn't think that, but I mean, it never crossed my mind. Let's put it that way.
Well, I don't know the comics. I'm not one of these people that are going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, I read the comic. I know exactly what's going to happen," because I don't. Daryl wasn't in the comics, from what I understand. So,
no, not at all.
so his character is a complete loose cannon, and nobody knows what's going to happen. So, you know, but for Dwight to see Daryl as a potential leader to get rid of Negan, which could be a possibility. He's twisted enough. Just can he get close enough to him? Because Negan has everybody else convinced that he's the Almighty.
Oh, absolutely.
Not as godlike, but just, you know, it's his place, and you know, who are you?
Negan.
So, but Daryl's just going to refuse that. I think at some point he's going to say, "Yeah, fine, yeah, I'm Negan, sure."
Yeah.
Just so you can get past the next gate. So.
For those of you that may want to know a little bit forward in the comic books, if you don't want to know, I'm just going to do one little spoiler. Dwight becomes the inside man in the sanctuary for Ezekiel and Rick.
Right.
But you brought up the point of Daryl's not in the comics. So what if that becomes Daryl, becomes the inside man, you know?
Yeah,
Who knows?
Well, see, I don't know, because he's the obvious choice to be the inside man.
Yeah.
He's already defying Negan.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make, in my mind, it doesn't make sense to do that. But what might make sense is the pseudo girlfriend of Carl, that's back at
Yes.
Alexandria, who there seems to have been some speculation on who she really is.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if she was from not the kingdom, but from Negan's group,
The sanctuary.
the sanctuary, either got out or is out spying for them.
Well, she was with her parents, at least the story she told.
Right.
And we did see the flashback of her parents
Right.
dying, but could they have all been, from there? Who knows?
Maybe they picked her up and she got into their group and they eventually sent her out.
Yeah.
Here's this naive little kid, a little brainwashing, sent him out. Because they do have, they've known all about Alexandria for a while. So they've been spying somehow on them.
Sure.
So why not somebody on the inside who knows really how they work?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been through the wolves.
Yep.
And the major horde they had there. So
Exactly.
she'd been on the inside. And she seems to go out every once in a while and disappear.
Yes.
So
She liked that, actually, going out and being away.
I think there might be maybe a tie later on down the road. But then again, it has been quite a while. So I don't know if they'll loop that back, or maybe they'll find, Dwight will end up being that person.
Yeah. Who knows? So far, they're going pretty close to the comics, but like you said, you've got Daryl, and then on the other side with Ezekiel, you've got Carol, who are not in the comics at this moment, because Carol, I believe in the comics, is already dead.
I think so.
So it's two unknown factors. As far as everything else is playing out like the comics,
Right.
but they're the unknown factors. And speaking of Ezekiel, what did you think
Of his character?
of him? Yeah.
I think I had the same thought Carol did. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? Are you doing, a fellow or what, Shakespeare? I mean, it was right off the bat. You go,
Yep.
what the hell is this crazy guy doing?
Yep.
But he eventually comes out. I think he comes out a little too early.
Yeah.
As far, I mean, she's been in there 2 or 3 days, or maybe it's been a week or two now. And, hey, here's my whole backstory. Let me give you everything. It doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do.
I heard a lot of people say that they give it away too early of his backstory, but I think that he, as far as just strictly going from the story in the show, I think he saw something in Carol. In fact, at one point, does he say that he sees like himself, kind of? So I think
he kind of stands back and watches over everybody and observes. And he does mention that. He does mention that. He says something to the effect of, you play this nice, sweet, lady, and you're not.
Yeah.
You know, something to that effect.
Sees right through.
He does see. He said, I fell for it in the beginning, but she plays that. She plays that soccer mom.
Mm-hmm.
Early grandmother that's, let me make you some cookies, everything's fine. You look in her back and she's got a knife ready to take you out. So.
Oh yeah, but all in all, I am really liking this season. A lot of times in the past, I haven't quite liked when they've gone over here and over here and over here, and you only had a couple of people from each group, but they've really done a good job this season. I'm really liking this.
We'll see what happens. I kind of had a funny feeling at the end of last season that Negan was jumping the shark. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of not quite feeling that now. I think that the whole shock of losing Glenn and Abraham was such a big shock for people that I think it was, that was my understanding in my head of jumping the shark. But I think now that Negan's kind of developed a little bit. We've seen some images of the kingdom and Ezekiel and his tiger, which just seems really weird in the apocalypse. That the stories are kind of coming together a little bit more.
Yes.
I think it'll be interesting. Now you're going to have about 4 camps.
Right.
You're going to have the hill, the kingdom, the sanctuary,
And Alexandria.
Yep. How is that all going to tie in?
Exactly. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Thoughts from a TV Geek. Make sure you check us out at thoughtsfromatvgeek.com. You can see all our latest episodes there. Also, on Facebook, we are Thoughts from a TV Geek. You can tweet me at Neal on Twitter and on Instagram. And make sure you check us out for another episode in 2 weeks. See you then.
'Cause the world is but a treat when you're on